in child protective services, and they won't give them back to their loving families because they're making money.
This is a legal system that you're going into. And if you don't know the rules, you will be chewed up and spit out.
If I could say anything to a mother who just got their children detained, you're in a crisis. Yeah. Life feels like it's over. The most important thing is regaining custody of your children.
The child welfare system at its core is designed to protect children who need protection, okay? And that's key, is who need protection.
So social workers, out of fear, will remove more children rather than only remove those children that truly need to be removed.
It's okay. It's okay.
This isn't someone stole your car. Someone broke into your house. This someone took your child, your flesh and blood.
It doesn't say on this order that it was not proven. It says untrue. I immediately knew that, okay, well, this ain't over.
Were there signs there? Were there no signs? Did I miss them? Did I catch them? At this point, I honestly don't know.
Families only get a finite amount of time to reunify.
I came into this field to help families, not destroy them.
The difference between the criminal system and the child welfare system is substantial. You have more rights as a criminal than you do as a parent.
Wow, that video just is so powerful, no matter how many times I see it. Hi, everybody. I'm LJ. Welcome to Fight CPS with LJ. I am here with James tonight. Thank you, James, for joining us.
No problem.
Appreciate it. So tell us a little bit about you.
My name's James Wellhite. I'm from Virginia, Bristol, Virginia. And I've been dealing with CPS for going on 2 years now. We got a call, an anonymous call. No, they can't tell us who it is. We've asked for it. They said we have to petition, but they won't tell us who called. But they said that there was needles found next to my child's crib, which at that point, he hadn't even been in a crib in a year. He had a bed.
Like somebody called the police and
They
said
called
that?
CPS. They made a false report. Yeah, and they said it was next to his crib. But like I said, he hadn't had a crib in a year at that point. So it was a false report. It was all unfounded. But after that, they just kept coming and coming and coming. And I've never done anything wrong. I wasn't even the reason they called in the first place. I'm a non-offending parent. I've never failed a drug test. I've taken 8 drug screens in a row for CPS, DSS, 8 in a row. Never failed one in my life. And now they're trying to charge me with contempt for refusing to pee in their cup because I'm not peeing in it anymore. I mean, I'm just not doing it. It's against my constitutional rights. I've given them no reason to think I'm a drug addict or anything of the sort. They're just trying to catch me. I feel like if I take enough of those drug tests, I'm going to get one of the falsified ones, and they're going to end up, they'll have a reason to take my kid. But at this point, I haven't failed a drug test, and I've given them no reason. I've done everything they ask. I've done the Project Dad's 24/7 dad. I had to do the parenting classes that weren't even required for me. They've removed my child 5 times in the past year alone.
Oh, my goodness.
5 times. And not one of those times I feel is justified in any reason at all. The first time they took him was because my wife hadn't finished one of the assessments or something in a timely manner. So they put her in jail for 30 days and they took my kid. He was gone for a month and a half at that point. He's been gone for 8 months now, going on 8 months since August 25th.
Is he in foster care?
No, he's with his estranged grandfather who had nothing to do with him at all his whole life. 4 years, he hadn't even so much as bought him a birthday present, and they placed him with him. So he had no history at all, no relationship with this man at all. They haven't even done a background check or fingerprints on the people they put him with, his grandfather or his wife.
No way.
Because if they had done that, they would see that his grandfather has a assault on a minor from back in the day where he got trouble for assaulting his daughter.
I'm
so
pretty
he's not
sure
allowed
that's
to have
an offense that you can't have and have
Yep.
have the kid. So
The
that
whole reason for them to do the fingerprint and background check, they didn't do, and still haven't done it. It's been 8 months.
Do you have a lawyer?
Yeah, but I can't get a hold of him. I've called him, emailed him, texted. I went by there. I've talked to a secretary about 6 times, and they won't return my call. We had a court date about a month ago, and my wife got a call from her lawyer the day before stating that my lawyer had heart trouble or something. He was in the hospital, but I never got notified. They said that they were continuing the court date, and my lawyer never got a hold of me. They never even told me they continued the court date. I had to leave work and go down to the courthouse to find out that I don't have court that day. So, and that was my one chance to that was my chance to get my kid back after 7 months. They postponed it until April 27th. So that'll be August 25th to April 27th that my child's been gone. I've gotten no visitations. I've got no reunification plan.
No visitation?
I haven't even heard from CPS. They didn't even tell me they took my kid. I was at work when they did it. They didn't even try to call me or nothing. And they made no effort to contact me then or now. It's been 8 months, but yet they were coming by.
To contact them, like the caseworker?
Yeah, I've messaged them. I haven't gotten any response. They don't send anything. I had an aunt that died about 2 months ago, and my wife had messaged the caseworker and asked if we could take Titus to the funeral. And she waited. She said it was all good the first day. She waited till the next day, an hour before the funeral started, to inform me that I had to take a drug screen and do all these other steps, an hour before the funeral. We were on our way to pick him up, and I ended up being late to the funeral and not getting to take him to it. Now, I haven't even had, like I said, no visitations. We missed Christmas. We missed his birthday. We missed Halloween. It's just ridiculous.
And why do you think you're not getting any visitation?
I have no idea. I don't even know. They haven't even told me why they took him technically. I know why they took him. They found an empty baggie in my living room through an illegal search and seizure. It was a little tiny empty bag. Mm-hmm. We had a company over who had he just came over to get his hair done by my old lady, and he had just dropped it, and they came through the door. Well, the lady said she had to lay eyes on my son before she could leave. She had to, or she couldn't leave. So my wife informed her that she was getting over COVID. It wasn't a good time to come in, and she insisted on coming in. So she said, "All right, you can lay eyes on him." He was asleep in his bed. They walked around the corner, and when they walked around the corner to look into his bedroom, another unknown social worker we never met, never even knew he was there, he had walked into my living room and started searching through, looking for things, looking for anything incriminating. And when he did,
sneaky. Oh,
yeah.
My goodness.
Which is illegal because he wasn't even known there. He was not invited to my house. He did not have the consent to come in, much less search my living room.
Right.
And he found that, like I said, a little empty baggie. Didn't even have anything in it. And they called the cops, and they were going to arrest my wife for drug possession, even though they didn't have nothing in it. But that's when my friend said, "Look, it's mine." He said, "I just got here. I pulled my wallet out to give her the money to do my hair, and I dropped it. It fell out. It was an honest mistake." Well, they arrested him, charged him with felony drug possession, and he'd never been in trouble before in his life, ever. 32 years old, never been in trouble for anything, much less not even a speeding ticket. And he got a felony drug possession charge for an empty baggie. And that's when they told Heather that they were going to remove Titus over at 2, and they gave her a drug test, which she passed the drug test, and they still removed my child. So technically, their extingent circumstance was the empty baggie of drugs, which wasn't drugs. If that was their extingent circumstance, they removed that bag and Jared, who had the bag, from the house.
He messed up that it was his.
Yeah, and still removed my child, even though my wife he passed her drug test. There was no other reason. I was at work. They didn't even call me or try to get a hold of me or anything. And after they removed my child, a police officer had came into my room and started searching through my dresser drawer. He opened up all 3 of my top drawers in my dresser and was rifling through it, looking for something incriminating.
Did he have probable cause for that?
No. And he didn't have a warrant. He had no right being in my bedroom. None of this happened in my bedroom. It happened in the living room. So why was he even in my bedroom?
Yeah.
And then that's when my wife comes around the corner and she notices he's in there. She's like, "Excuse me." And he's like, I noticed in your closet there's a little crawl space and it's open because there was like a little crawl thing where you can get up into the attic. Well, he's like, "Yeah, you sure James isn't up in there, aren't you? You sure if I poke my head up there, James isn't going to pop out?" She's like, "No, James is at work. I've already told y'all this 5 times. Why are you searching our bedroom drawer looking for James?" And why would it matter if he's in the attic or, he's not in the attic. We just told you. Why would he be in the attic? But they want to catch me there so they could violate me with the protective order, which they've tried to do several times. They've told me I'm not even allowed at my own house because every time they show up, they're, is James here? If he's here, we're going to get him with a violation, a protective order. I've never done anything wrong. They went on.
That's my fiance. They literally told me he cannot be here or I cannot reunify with our son. So
they try to separate the parents.
Moved out so that one of us has a chance.
That's what they want to do. They want to separate the parents because they know it's easier to take one down than it is both of them.
And that makes no sense to me because, what does reunify mean if you're separating a family? But then you're telling us that we're supposed to be working towards reunification. It feels like we're working way against that.
I didn't even know what a reunification plan was until I've done all this research by myself because they don't tell you anything. Right, I just found out what a reunification plan was about 2 months ago. Wow. I had no idea. I haven't heard anything from it.
That's so frustrating.
They've got 6 charges on me now. I called the courthouse. I've got 6 charges pressed against me right now for the upcoming court date because they're trying to build a case. Yeah, they're trying to build a case up so they have some reason for doing this when they go in front of the judge.
Yeah, they have to make it make sense.
Yeah, the charges they got me with are contempt, violating a district court order, and refusal to obey an order.
What order did you violate? Supposedly,
I refused to pee in a cup. Whenever I refused to pee in the cup after I asked the social worker, I said, look, from the very beginning, y'all said 3 drug tests. My wife had to pass 3 drug tests, and then that would be it. Well, she passed her 3 drug tests. She failed the very first drug test they gave her, but she's passed them all since. I've passed every single drug test I've taken. After 8, I think that's a bit excessive. How many more do I have to take before it proves that I'm not a drug addict? And I asked her, I said, what? I was like, honestly, how many drug tests you have on record that I've passed? And she said, I don't know. She couldn't tell me that I've even passed 1, 2, 3. I have pictures of every drug test I've taken. It's 8 of them. And I've called the other social workers and stuff and asked them, and they said that they have no idea. They have no record. But the drug tests that I did take are non-admissible in court because they didn't send a male DSS worker to watch me take the drug test. They sent a female who cannot watch me, so therefore it's not admissible.
Oh my gosh.
So why would I take them anymore? There's no point in taking them if they're not admissible.
Yeah.
But it's very admissible when I refuse to pee in that cup.
Yeah.
Every time. 4
Did
contempt charges.
Did you sign a case plan or anything like that?
I've never signed anything. From the very beginning, I never signed it. I didn't. I won't. They tried to hit me with a refusal to pee in the cup, and they asked me to sign that. I said, I'm not signing that because I didn't refuse to pee in the cup. They showed up to our house one day. It was our apartment. We didn't have any electricity on out there at the time, and my wife and kid weren't even there. It was just me there at the time. They were up back at her mother's house. Well, my electricity had been off for like 2 weeks, so I wasn't even staying there. I just came by, and they showed up, and they tried to make me pee in a cup, and I said, I don't have to pee right now. Well, they said, well, you mind if we search your refrigerator? It's like, search my refrigerator for what? Something to drink so I could pee in the cup. I said, go ahead, go right ahead. And she's like, you don't have any water? I was like, I don't have any electricity, so I don't have any water. And she went into my refrigerator and found a glass pitcher of Kool-Aid that had been there for about 2 weeks. It had mold on top, that thick, across the top of it. And she tried to make me drink that. She said, here, drink this. Yeah. I said, I'm not fucking drinking that. It's hard to tell what I'll fucking fell for if I drink moldy Kool-Aid, And then after 3 minutes, after she asked me to take that test, I said, I don't have to pee. I wouldn't drink the Kool-Aid. She hit me with a refusal. 3 minutes. I was like, are you kidding me? I don't consider that. And then she tried to make me sign the piece of paper. I said, I'm not signing it because I didn't refuse. I don't have to pee, and that's not illegal. But apparently it is. It's a contempt of court. I've got 4 contempt charges right now, and refusal of district court order and refusal of a protective order or something like that, or violation of a protective order. It's all trumped up charges. It's all bullshit.
All of it is. All of it is. And like Heather said, the CPS workers don't care that they are destroying this child's life.
No.
Totally. They don't seem to even consider how traumatic this is for children to be ripped from their parents.
The best,
And
but
then
that's in
for
the best
you to
interest.
not even be able to visit your child.
Yeah, they woke my child up out of bed in the morning and took him from his mother and his home, everything he knew, woke him up and just took him out of there and placed him with his grandfather, who he has nothing, doesn't even know exists. You know,
How scary that is for a kid. I couldn't imagine. That's scary as an adult.
and that's the 5th time they've taken him this year. That's traumatic as hell. I mean, it's hard to tell what they've done to my child. There was nothing wrong with him at all before this, and he's developed.
Do you have contact with your father?
The what?
The grandfather. Do you have contact with him?
I've been threatened. I'm not allowed on the property. He threatened me if I even come up there to see him. I went up there one time to go see him. It was on Thanksgiving, and they blew the hell up. I had said, well, that's probably why he's coughing or something. And the whole house erupted. They kicked me out of the property. I've been threatened if I come back. They said they've got something for me, and so I'm not even allowed up there.
I mean, that is just crazy.
Yep. And they knew that her side of the family, there's issues between me and we don't get along. They don't like
the same thing. My son's with my sister, and I didn't even speak to her for 6 months at least prior to my case even starting. So it's really hard when they get placed with a family member that you're not even in contact with.
Yep. And the social workers, they purposely try to pit the families against each other. They love it when there's a dysfunctional family. That's what they want.
No, you're so right, because I can try to get a hold of my caseworker, from Monday to Friday. She doesn't answer, but my sister contacts her on a Sunday and she's talking to her right away.
Yep. Same thing with us.
Best old friends.
We try to get a hold of them and they don't respond back. And then, my wife will tell her mother, like, we can't get a hold of her. And she's like, well, I get a hold of her every time I call. Like, well, that's kind of funny. They don't want us to get a hold of them. They don't, because then they have to actually do their job.
Exactly.
But I've been studying on it.
That's what you're going through. I can't imagine why, you haven't at least gotten visitation with your child. That's just insane.
They're trying to distance me from the whole topic. They want to get me as far away from it as they can to get me out of the picture so they can do whatever they want to, to my way. They can take him and there won't be no fighting about it. Whenever there's a non-offending parent involved in it, they don't have anything on me. There's no reason for them to be there or take my kid. But now that they have taken him this many times, they've realized that there's a lawsuit involved there. There was no reason to remove my child from me or separate him, period. And they can't prove anything that I've done anything. They can't say, well, this is why he's not allowed there. They can make shit up. They went to the court and told the judge, my caseworker told the judge that I had a long history of drug use, long history of drug abuse, a long history of violent charges as like domestic assaults, assault and battery. She said all this in her affidavit, and I've got the copy of the affidavit to the judge under oath, and which is all false. I've never had a drug charge of any kind. I've never had a violent charge of any kind. And my lawyer asked me, he said, have you had any of these charges? I said, no. He goes, all right, we got it. He walked into the courtroom. He said, we object to everything, Your Honor. I was like, we did. We objected to everything, and we won that day. And I got my kid back that day. He pointed out that everything she was saying was lying. So after that court, she retired the next day. She retired, and they put her in the county over.
Wow.
But yet, they didn't go back and investigate the fact that she has been harassing and, maliciously attacking my family for 1.5 years at that point.
No, and they won't. I think unless, you really make it your life's work to make sure that happens, because
and that's what I've been doing.
None of them have any accountability, integrity, morals, none of that.
I would be charged with perjury if I did that.
Yeah.
And locked up that day.
I mean, what they can do is limitless, and what we can do seems like it's unattainable.
Yep.
It's really, really difficult.
And you can't really find there's zero help with this. I can't get a hold of a lawyer to save my life. I've called every lawyer in the phone book. On Google, I've called every single one of them around here that study in Virginia, and none of them will touch it. So I've looked into the family foundation or something like that, and the dude he represented himself pro se, and I've took a lot of that stuff. Vincent Davis, I've watched every single one of his videos that come out. And all my spare time, all I do is research CPS laws Virginia statutes and, old cases and stuff. I've spent hundreds and hundreds of hours the past 3 months studying this. I'm driving my wife crazy doing it because she says all I do is sit there and stare at it. But it's
I do the
it's
same thing.
complicated.
I have no other pastime other than research and studying my case in and out. I mean, my case has been going on 15 months, and I work 12 to 14-hour shifts, and I go home, and that's why I spend the rest of my night and my days off is doing research and seeing how I can fight them.
I've lost a job over this because I can only get so many calls from my old lady completely distraught that they've taken my kid, and before I have to leave. They tell me I can't leave. When my wife said they took my kid, I'm leaving. I lost a job over this. Untold days of work I've missed over. I was self-employed doing landscaping, and I've gotten 15, 20 calls from her saying I have to come home right now to pee in a cup. That doesn't look good when you're working in a millionaire's yard doing his landscape. You get halfway through doing the job and you got to leave because CPS is at your house and you need to take a drug test. That makes you look pretty bad. That's defamation of my character, really. And
right.
Because automatically people think if it's CPS involved, you're a bad parent, you're a drug addict. There's a reason they're doing it. They're government workers. They're not the bad people. You're the bad person for them having to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't understand. I've done nothing wrong, but since I haven't done anything wrong, they're going to try to make me out to have done something wrong.
I mean, what does your attorney say when you have gotten a hold of your attorney?
Never talked to him.
Not even once.
Nope. I had
so his law firm just shuts down. See, that's crazy because the same thing happened to my fiance. He, in I think it was 13 and a half months, had no exchange of words with his attorney, which is ridiculous. Like, how in the hell are you defending anybody when you're not communicating?
How is that even considered defending,
Yeah.
I mean, they might as well just not even be there.
That's what an attorney's job is to do when they're supposed to be defending a parent. They're supposed to be coming up, telling them what's happening, what the plan is.
Making sure they understand the case and they're charging and what's going on to the best of their knowledge, 100%.
Right.
And without the parent understanding, the defendant understanding the case and what's going on, then, if they're not being properly defended and explained the stuff to, then that's, completely, that's illegal. Really. It's they can't even.
You can on your own put in, to the judge to ask them, to have him excused.
See, the very first court date we had, I got this attorney, and we walked in the courtroom. We sat down. They said, Heather didn't do this. Heather didn't do that. She didn't do this assessment. They locked her up. And then I'm still sitting there. I didn't even get to say one word. And the judge was like, you can leave now. They didn't say anything to me. They didn't say, you take my wife, saying she didn't do a assessment, which she did do the assessments, but she didn't have that piece of paper saying she did, which shouldn't be her responsibility. She did what they told her to do. Go here and do this class. She did it. She graduated it. But she didn't have a piece of paper stating it, so they locked her up for 30 days. And then they told me to go ahead and leave. I said, what? I don't get to defend myself or say anything, or, can I get an appeal? Can I, can I object? Can I do anything? But that lawyer didn't say one word at all. He was on a TV or whatever. He didn't say one word for me or anything. And then they just told me to leave. Well, then I come back months later for another case, and they gave me another attorney. He was the good one who objected to everything. He won that case, and he got my child back that day. Well, the next time they took him, they gave me another court-appointed attorney, and they went back to the first one. I said, I don't want him. I said, I want the last guy I had. I said, he represented me. He helped me. I want that lawyer.
Yeah,
he's never been on your case. He's never been on your case. I said, yes, he has. They insisted he hadn't, and they gave me the first one. Then they went back and looked at the records and said, oh, I apologize. He was on your case, but we've already given you this lawyer, and we can't go back on that now. So I think that was all set up from the courts.
Wow. And how long has your case been open?
2 years now. Since the very first time. We lived in Washington County and Washington County, Virginia, when they first got the report, but we were in the process of relocating back down to Bristol, where I'm from. So that's where I work at and stuff. Well, when we moved down there, they acted like we were taking off with our child or something, trying to, flee the country or some shit because I'm moving to Bristol. They're like, you're not allowed to do that. It's because it's in a different county. That means it's a different, social workers, DSS and stuff. Every county is different. So they felt like we were taking their check, their little, government check that they were going to get that year for taking that kid. We were taking that away from them and giving it to another county, so they transferred it to Bristol. And Bristol, ever since we were down there, it's just that caseworker has had it out for my old lady. They got into an argument, a little back and forth argument. And ever since then, it's just been, she's like, I'm going to show you, I'm going to swing my weight. I'll show you how, heavy I can hit. And that's what it is, retaliation. Because the caseworker we had, her daughter was apparently a drug addict or something. So she had custody of her daughter's kids. So I think she has it out for, all females basically because of what her daughter did. The fact that she has to take care of her kids and stuff. And, she had to leave at 4. She'd show up at my house at 4:00 and says, I have to leave at 4:30 because I got to pick my kids up, blah, blah, blah. That's not my problem. If you show up at 4:00 and you want me to pee, if I don't have to pee at 4:00, it might take me a minute to pee again. I don't sit around and pee all day. I don't understand since when has it been illegal to take a piss, not be able to take a piss? They act like it is.
Sent me for one today, and she was irritated because she's like, I don't see you in the system yet. And I said, because I can't just drop everything when you tell me, when you say jump, I can't just jump.
But they expect you to.
Like, be realistic.
Yep.
I have a life that I'm still trying to navigate while dealing with this craziness.
Yep, and you got to support your family as well. You got to work.
It seems almost impossible.
It's called a Sisyphean task is what they expect of you. It's a Sisyphean task, which is an impossible task. You cannot complete it. They wanted my wife to take all these classes, parenting classes and drug assessments. One of the classes was 4 times a week she had to take it. No, 3 times a week, and it was 4 hours long. That's 12 hours a week. Who's going to watch the kid? I'm at work, So they want me to leave work, stay at home with the kid while she goes and sits at a class that they say she needs to take, and all for what? Just for them to not be able to not send the paperwork saying she did it to the social worker, or for the social worker not to show it.
And they want to trip you up. So make sure that every ounce of documentation you can get, you always have. If you did it, you make sure you can prove it.
Yep.
Because hearsay is allowed in dependency court, and I feel like that's all they talk about is BS and things that are not even true, and twist and distort everything. So you have to make sure you have the documentation. It's so important.
And even the documentation they do have, they won't bring to court and give to the judge if it's proven you're innocent. The exculpatory evidence, the piece of paper stating that she did the class, they won't bring it. And they'll be like, well, she needs to prove it. Well, why should she have to prove it? She's already given you the paper.
Yeah.
That's what we went to court back in, that's a few months ago. We went to court, and my wife thought she had the paper, but she had misplaced it at the house. So she asked her lawyer if she can get a continuance, for, just put it off for a couple of days or whatever, a week, so she can get all of her paper in order, or get it and show that she did it. Well, her lawyer told my lawyer said, look, the prosecuting attorney and her lawyer, everybody's all in agreements. They're going to postpone it for 2 weeks so your wife can get her papers in order. And I was like, all right, 2 weeks is a little bit long. My kids, we're talking about my kid right now. He's 2 weeks longer. He has to stay there. All right, but for a piece of paper that they should have already had, well, we go back into the court. I agreed to 2 week 2 week continuance. We go back in there, sit down, and they said February 20th or something, which was 3 more months. 3 months later, they continued it to, not 2 weeks. I agreed to 2 weeks. My lawyer lied to me, and he said 2 week continuance. It was 3 months. That means 6 months they're going to have my kid all together. At that point, he had been gone for 3 months, 3 more months, so 6 months. Well, then the day before court, on that court date, which was a couple months ago, that's when my lawyer had a heart attack or something. So they continued it for 3 more months. Altogether, it's 8 months that my kid will be gone before I even get to go to court and say anything.
And they don't even consider what the child is going through as they're just continuing.
Yep. I haven't been to court at all over that.
Delay everything.
Our very first court date for this, which was like a month after they took him, Every court date we have has been at 3:30, and my paperwork said 3:30. Well, we get there at 3:25. I was actually early to something, and there everybody's standing out on the courthouse steps. It's got my child's grandmother. It's got the guardian ad litem. It's got Heather's attorney, my attorney, the DSS workers. Everybody's standing there like having a party, a little group meeting. And I walk up and they all get quiet and they're like, "Who is this?" They're like, "That's the father." Like, "Oh, okay." Well, they all just stopped talking. They said I failed to appear. I missed it. That my court date was at 3. It wasn't. It was at 3:30. But they instead of my lawyer was there. My wife's lawyer was there. They knew we were on our way at 3:30. They didn't say anything, and they went ahead and just hit me with a failure to appear, and went ahead with the next case because they had another court date set that same day at 3:30 for my wife's mother, which is the grandmother, to get custody, to sign papers for custody. So it seems to me like they already had their mind made up, before I ever showed up or anything. Why would you have why would you have a court hearing for my wife's or my child's grandmother to sign papers for custody whenever I haven't even been to court to tell my side of the story yet? They're just trying to get him away from me as quickly as they can. They don't want me to have him at all. They want me not to be around my kid and my kid not to be around me.
How old is your kid?
He turned 4 in February 12th.
Oh, that's hard. Mine's 3.
Yep. Missed his birthday. Didn't get a cent. I got to pay for the pizza, the cake, the ice cream, the plates, everything, but I didn't get to go to the birthday party. I didn't get to see him. I didn't get to do anything. I didn't get it. I've missed 2 Christmases now. I've missed a Halloween, Thanksgivings, just everything that a family should be together for. I didn't get to participate in. I've lost out on that. My kid didn't get to participate in it. Right. They've stolen. What is the value, the monetary value of a day with your child? That's what I want to know. Because it's priceless.
Hey.
Priceless.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if I did sue them, how are they going to compensate me for that? For a priceless day. And then priceless every 30 days a month, 8 months. And that's going to add up.
I mean, I think about that all the time. Like, how would I ever be, how would they remedy what they have done to my family? Because it is a lifelong devastation.
Yeah.
It's completely traumatic to go through. I see so much of this happen everywhere around the country, and it is insane to me that they have immunity, qualified immunity, and we got to change that. It's so frustrating because we'll never, really be able to be vindicated for this, what they've done to our families.
Yeah, I don't know how I could ever make it up to my kid. He's 3 years old. He was three and a half when they took him this last time, and he's at the age now he's remembering stuff. It's going to affect him for the rest of his life.
And
I can never make it up.
Critical years, especially our kids are the same age, and this is like really important to be surrounded with people that are going to love you and nurture, the emotions that they're experiencing. And so it's worrisome when they stick them with a family member who you don't even have a good relationship with, and they don't support your parent-child relationship. That's just, it shouldn't be allowed. You know what I mean?
And the fact that her grandfather doesn't like me means he's going to be that much more, abusive towards my child for the animosity he has against me. And he has. I've got proof where the first time I seen Titus since he was taken, my son's name's Titus. First time I seen him since he's taken, he walked up, he said, "Daddy, Papa Boom hit me with a belt. Hit me in my butt with a belt." So he's hit him with his hand and a belt now. That's corporal punishment. I've never hit my child. He hit him because he found a pin and he went and drew on his bedroom door. And, for one, that's your fault for leaving the pin out where he could get it. For two, you don't hit a kid for that, ever. I mean, I don't understand that. And then now they went from hitting him with their hand, they're hitting him with a belt now.
Oh my God.
He just really started formulating sentences and stuff right when they took him. He wasn't really, he could say words, but putting words together in a sentence, he just started doing. And now they took him up here and his speech is so bad now, like I can't even understand him on the phone. And then they try to charge us with not putting him in speech therapy or something. I'm like, we didn't need speech therapy. We were teaching him to talk. You took him from his parents who were teaching him all this.
Thing to me, my son was born like, I believe it was 6.5 weeks early. He was just ready to go from day one. He's very energetic, but they said that he, he wasn't speaking the way that he should for a 2-year-old.
Yeah. What 2-year-old talks?
Ridiculous. Yes, he does, and he does great. I know my kid. I know he's very smart. I read to him all the time. I teach him, and he's very smart. So when they, said that they believe that he is delayed, when they did testing, he scored off the charts high.
Mine did too. And they've been saying that about mine since he was 1.5.
You see, you guys are the idiots, not us.
Yeah. What, did you not say goo goo gaga properly?
Right.
The hell? Mine was 1.5 when they tried to put him in speech therapy, and they've ever said ever since. What 1.5-year-old even talks? But we took him to the doctor. They said there's nothing wrong with it. They want to do that so they can collect an extra $2,000 a year for the child that they remove through the Family Cares Act that Bill Clinton passed in 1997. They collect $4,000 for every child that they remove from their parents. Well, then if they have special needs like speech therapy, that's an extra $2,000. Yeah. So it's $6,000 they're getting. And that's exactly what it is. And I didn't know any of this until I've studied it all. I mean, it's sickening how long this has been going on. Before today, where technology
well, beyond my knowledge of it, I am blown away by how badly it is. Rampant in this country. And Angie, you said
I kind of thought we were special at first, like this is a special case, but no, it's not.
Yeah. No,
it's been going on for a long time.
You feel like you're kind of like
being singled out.
That's going through this crazy nightmare that seems like you're in a bad dream.
It's crazy how quiet they keep it.
Videos, it's everywhere.
Yep. It's been going on for a long time. It's hard to tell how many kids their lives and families have been destroyed over this.
Yeah, like Angie says, that's where they get us. They can lie, file whatever they want, traumatize our kids without spending a dime. But we have to figure out how to pay thousands to defend ourselves against their lies. Yep. Then they don't even get any ramifications for their lies. And that's so right, because I think people, they don't know how to fight against these people because they're scared. It is scary to have that type of control over other people, and it should not be something that is happening, and it is so bothersome that
it's even scarier going up against the government, like trying to prove that government workers and guardian ad litem officers of the court, judges are all in on this. It's me up against a judge. The whole state of Virginia, they've got all the lawyers, they've got everything they need to bury me. It's a lot easier to bury me, get rid of me, than it is to admit that they did this wrong and that wrong. Because if they admit what they've done wrong to our family, they're going to have to go back and investigate every single kid that they've taken, that social worker took, in her whole career. She was responsible for 28 families, I believe. 28 families. She was going around house to house to house during a pandemic, going around up in their house, up in their faces and stuff, spreading this stuff. And, and so it's just a lot easier to get rid of me, to say I did this or that, than it is to, admit what they did wrong and fix the problem, because they're going to have to fix the whole system.
Yeah. And none of them think that the system is the problem. They think that, people like us are the problem, and that we need to be separated from our children, or our children will, be abused in some crazy torture, type of way, which is bull. Yep. Because my child was not even taken from me. My child was taken from me for failure to protect against, and I can't talk a lot about my case, but failure to protect against something I didn't even know was happening doesn't make any sense to me.
See, I think that's what my failure to apply with the safety order, protective order or something, they're trying to hit me with that because I didn't protect him from an empty baggie that my friends just dropped on the porch. They didn't. I don't even think they tested that bag for drugs. I haven't been told what drug it was. I haven't been told anything. I've messaged them. I can't get any response.
If the guy was arrested for felony, drug possession, so they must have tested it.
I don't think they did, because when he went to court, he waived his preliminary.
Really?
So he waived his right to make them bring the evidence in and prove what evidence they had against him. I don't think they did, because his lawyer talked him into that, waiving his preliminary, which is retarded. You never waive your preliminary.
Right.
That's saying I did it. I don't want to. You don't have to prove I did it. I did it. He had no idea that he didn't know what he's talking about.
People don't know until they start kind of digging and saying, wait, something's not right here. I didn't know for like maybe 6 to 7 months that I should have not done a lot differently.
Me too.
Than I did. And I mean, I know so much more now. I wish I knew like when this all started, because I probably wouldn't be in this situation, and neither would my son. And he would be home, And
the amount of time I've had to spend, put into this, researching and studying and statutes and laws and guidelines is ridiculous that you have to actually do that. And it took me a long time to even really be able to find all this stuff. But now, I mean, it
does. And my thing is like, I was talking to Amanda last night on her show. I have all this research and I've printed it all out and gotten it all together, but like I can't get it organized because I have so much of it. I don't even know where I would begin, because we go to these hearings. You're not even allowed to talk to the judge. Like the judge, just kind of pushes you aside and lets everybody else talk. We have to stand up for our right to speak, our right to be heard.
Our right to defend ourselves.
And I was just going to say that, and our right to defend ourselves. And so like, that's my biggest thing is I'm trying to get all my paperwork organized into, like a story form. That way I can make sense of it when I have a limited amount of time to talk,
And that's another thing. When they redo this system, they need to make it, not complicated. Everyone should understand the law. A child should understand the law. When I was in, kindergarten, they told me about the.
A lot of people don't, think that way, but our children have rights too.
Yeah, and they've been violated as well.
Yep.
They have a right to a parent. They have a right to. We have the right to raise our family any way we see fit, without any government interference of any entity, and that's completely been violated. They have interfered with my family raising for 2 years now, and I think they've messed up, because I'm not going to stop now. Even after I get my kid back, I'm going to keep on, and I'm just going to keep on them.
Same.
I'm suing them. I'm going to make this turn.
They made her homeless, and she has no support system. She's lost from Michigan, stuck in Alabama, and every time she sees her son, he asks what he did wrong. I get this every time I see my son. Mommy, why can't we go home? Why won't you take me home? And now it's getting to the point where he's like pissed at me. He's mad that I haven't brought him home.
And he don't understand why.
Tell him is sweetheart, it's not ready yet. It's still being built. I am telling him our house is being built and it's not ready to live in just quite yet. So that's kind of all I can do, because he's so young. To make sense of it for him, that's kind of what I tell him. And it's hard because our kids think that they did something wrong. And that's why, or we don't want them, I can imagine what's
going through their head. It's sad. It makes me tear up thinking about it. The first time we'd seen Titus, and it's probably about 3.5, 4 months since they took him. He just woke up out of bed and had taken out. He doesn't know if his mommy and daddy died, if they gave him away, if they just ran away. They has no idea. But the first time we had seen him in like 3.5, 4 months, this isn't a visitation, because I haven't been given one, but they let him come over, and first thing he said to me and his mom was, "Does mommy and daddy not love me anymore?" Oh. Are you fucking kidding me right now?
That's heartbreaking.
That's the saddest fucking shit my kids ever said. So mommy and daddy don't love me? How the hell you tell them, I do love you? It was just, they're doing this. I can't explain that. And they're probably telling him everything, going along with that up there where he's at. Your mommy's this and your daddy's a piece of crap. Your daddy's the reason your mommy isn't doing this. They're on drugs. They're doing that. They're just buying along with it. They love the fact that DSS did this to us, because that's giving them power to do whatever they want, and they can just talk all the crap they want.
Same in reality, she literally like was abusive my entire life, and I like, I don't want my son to be abused also.
Exactly.
You know,
My son was never abused.
And now she's got my son. Like, that's like, my brain tells me that's probably going to happen, if not already happening. So
the only neglect or abuse my kids ever,
like a scrapbook, and I try to like put pictures of our family, like me, my fiance, and my son growing up, and you know, just when he was a baby, and I put it together, and I try to show him if I ever get a video chat. It's rare, or if I get a visit, or when I get a visit, I get only 2 hours a week. With a child that young, that's bullshit. Like, it should be way more. It's supposed to be regular and consistent and frequent.
Yep.
And
in the best interest of the child.
Yeah.
How's this in the best interest of the child?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I never spent a day away from my kid his whole life until they started doing this shit.
Same.
Not even one fucking day. I don't understand how this is in the best interest. Because if anybody has the best interest of my child, I guarantee it's me.
Right. And I don't understand why they call it reunification when they rip us apart from each other and then allow us to see them very minimally.
Yep.
You know, like, I think, I don't know what it is in your state, but in Florida, it's a 4 hour a month minimum. So that's all I get from my sister is the 1 hour minimum a week visit.
That's crazy. That if anything, that's more detrimental to the child because it's, you know, it's saying here's your mommy, but you can't have her.
Right.
And then they cry themselves to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
My kid cries himself to sleep every time we talk to him on the phone. He cries himself to sleep, and then we get a text at 4 o'clock in the morning from his grandfather's wife saying, "Oh, you can't keep your promises. You don't call him back. She's drunk," texting us all this bullshit saying Titus is up crying. And so they're being mean to him. So, and then she's texting us, giving us shit about it. It's like, what the fuck? You expect me to call my kid at 4 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
They've got him on this weird schedule where he sleeps until 3 o'clock in the afternoon and he stays up all night, and it's just stupid. I mean, his grandfather's wife is a drunk and he's a drug addict.
They took him from a safe place with his parents and put him somewhere in an unsafe place with people that are not safe. It makes zero sense to me.
And they never even fingerprinted. We got a proof. We got a copy of a text message where it's from the social worker to them saying, well, I need to meet with y'all sometime this week so I can go ahead and get the background check and the fingerprints done. That way they'll be back before court, which was the next week. That's proof that they didn't fingerprint or background check the people that they placed my damn kid with. Because if they had done that, it would have said, no, he can't go there because he's been charged with assault on a minor. And you know, that's one of the few offenses that says you can't do it.
That like they are supposed to be looking at that stuff is to make sure that the child is safe.
What if it was like rape of a baby or something he was with? It's hard to tell who the hell he did.
Right.
You know, and they could have put him with anybody. They don't care. They don't know nothing about him. I tell you, I didn't want him there. I would have done anything to keep him from being there. You know, that's just, it blows my mind what they get away with, what they've done. The only time my child has ever been abused or neglected is at the hands of DSS by taking him from me and his mother and placing him God knows where.
Same.
And they placed him with friends of family that had nothing to do with him, that, you know, no relationship at all other than seeing him a few times. They placed him there. You know, they told me that he can't come to my family. I don't have very much family. My biggest mistake in this situation was telling the social worker, I don't have any family. Almost all my family's dead. My mom's dead. Everybody on my side of the family's gone.
And they'll punish you for it.
Yeah. And I made that mistake by telling them that because they see that as an easy target. You know, we don't have to worry about him because he doesn't have any family backing him up. He doesn't have anybody he can call or tell. So it's just, you know, poor little James. So we need to get rid of him and focus on the mother so we could take him away from it. But they told me, which is illegal, that he is not allowed to. I have a brother and a father, and that's it. They told me he's not allowed to go to my brothers or fathers because they live in Bristol, Tennessee. I live in Bristol, Virginia. It's a split state right down the middle. It's not like it's a far away. It's Bristol, Tennessee, right across the street. We literally lived 100 yards from the Tennessee border. But my child can't go to my brother's or my father's house because they live in Tennessee, which is illegal. It doesn't matter if your kid lives in Tennessee, Alaska, China, or Russia. If you're a parent and you choose your kid to go to this place, that's where the hell they have to put him.
Right.
I've had no preferences. They've never asked my preference where my kid goes, not once. Because if I did send my kid to my family, he would go to Tennessee, and then Tennessee DSS would get that $4,000 a year for removing him from a child.
Yeah, they won't have that.
That's exactly what's going on,
Yeah,
and that's illegal. That's illegal. And I've got
Melissa
witnesses.
has court in the morning. Good luck, Melissa.
I've got witnesses. They came by our house and they took him one time. My brother had come to get him. Well, when they took off with him, they were driving down the road and they went right across the border of Tennessee. They had the police, the DSS worker, and the police following my brother. They went right across the border and they pulled my brother over and said, "Oh, this is too far over. We can't cross the state line." Well, why can't you? So the police are in on this too. So I've got judges, police, officers of the court, government workers. I'm going up against all of that, and that's scary to me. They could easily get rid of me. I'm not I'm
going through James. You and your story and my story is a lot. I see a lot of similarities. Like the guardian ad litem is in another county because we were homeless for like 14 months. I was exposed to a COVID positive patient where I work and didn't know it. Got really sick. I'm the breadwinner and was out of work for quite some time, and we lost everything. So we were in between counties, and now that we're in one county, our case is still in another county, and the guardian ad litem has never even met my son, never seen a visit, never talked to my son. Like, how the hell are you a guardian ad litem in this case then?
I don't even understand the point in the guardian ad litem.
And they won't cross county lines. They just well, then call somebody who will, because it's sort of important.
It's stepping on toes to them.
Yeah.
They don't want to eat where they shit, pretty much.
Right.
It's ridiculous. My guardian ad litem came to our apartment one time, and he said everything's fine. He looked at our whole house. Everything's fine. I see no reason to think anything. And then that's it. But he's about 21 and a half, maybe tops. I don't think he's ever been laid, much less. I don't think he's ever had a girlfriend, much less been laid or have a kid. So how the hell does he know what the hell's in the best interest of my fucking kid?
And a lot of these workers, that work with CPS are young, and not to say that a young person can't be, knowledgeable and useful, but
they're just straight ignorant.
Experience or the education that should be required to have that kind of a job and that kind of a power.
I think they should have to have some kind of a certificate or degree in psychology, be a minimum, something like that, some kind of sociology or something. Right. And at least have kids. That should be a requirement too. They should have to have kids, have a family, so they can put themselves in that shoes. But one of their requirements, I've actually applied to social services just for shits and giggles to see what it takes. And they have an aptitude test, personality test. And if you lean more towards compassionate, they won't hire you. If you lean more towards narcissistic,
you can't have empathy or sympathy.
You have to have be narcissistic, sociopathic fucking tendencies, or they won't hire you. Wow. I've read about a lady who that they flat out told her, they said, "You're too empathetic. We want more." She's like, "So you have to be a sociopathic narcissist?" They said, "Yeah, that's more what we want." I've got the job at social services in South Carolina. I got it. I didn't take it, but I got it. I applied to it and I got it. And it doesn't take anything to be a social service worker. You basically just have to say, "I'll look the other way. I'll take kids. I don't have a heart."
Yeah. Yeah. They don't matter to me. We can just throw them away and collect a check.
But I love the videos that they post about, social service does this and this and that, and their little updates they say, and it's ridiculous. They make it out like our number one goal. That's the first thing the social worker ever said to me was, "Look, I don't want you to think we're just out to take your kids. Look, we don't want your kids. We don't have room for them."
And that was your red flag that you probably didn't know until way later.
I believed her at the time because she's like a little old lady looking like thing. I
try to be your friend.
I was just trying to be cordial.
They are not your friend.
The best thing I did with the case was I kept quiet. The best thing I ever did was I didn't talk. I sat there and I would just listen. I would let them do all the talking, and that saved me. The worst thing I ever did was not being a cup.
More than saying something.
Yep. And that's what's kept me as a non-offending parent, because if I would have kept talking, they would have fucking came up with something to make me an offending parent. Which they don't even count me as a non-offending parent. They count me as, just another, criminal or drug addict, even though they can't prove
when
it.
they built a case on you, once
Yep.
they got you in their grasp.
Yep.
That's the same with me. I mean, my son was taken for, not anything I did. And then, I was the sole witness to the murder of my mother and my stepfather with a .357 Magnum revolver at 19.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And so it wasn't like young, like our boys are, like where they won't remember. I was grown, and I experienced a very traumatic event.
I'm sorry to hear that.
With it for a long time, and they're using that against me.
Yep.
And it's so beyond wrong.
They'll call you mentally unstable or some shit because of that. And they know that
I had to do a batterers intervention class for 28 weeks. And I work in healthcare. So like I told you, I work 12 to 14-hour shifts. You have any idea how hard it is to do that and do that kind of shift?
Yep,
and
I work 12-hour shifts as well.
Home, by myself without my family, and and then work all my other tasks that they want me to do. And then, and then jump when they say jump.
I'm scared to go to work anymore, pretty much, because every time I go to work or get a new job, every time I go, they show up while I'm at work and take my kid away. And it's ridiculous.
And then you lose your job, and then they get you for not having a job.
Yep. Then my power goes out or something. I was doing landscape and self-employed. Like I said, I worked with my partner. He was 72 years old. He died last March from COVID. And out of nowhere, I just lost everything. I went from making money to not making anything in the middle of a pandemic. And so I started getting other jobs and stuff. I worked at a place that did printing and stuff. Well, that was a really good paying, high paying job. And I ended up losing it because I had to walk out in the middle of the shift to come home to my wife because my kid was taken away out of nowhere, and she was just distraught. I'm not going to sit there and work a 12-hour shift while my wife's sitting there telling me, you need to be here and all that. And that's messed up. Plus, I was doing landscaping, like I said, self-employed, and I'd get a call that I need to come home and pee in a cup. I did that so many days. I've missed out on so much work. Half a day work when you're self-employed is a lot of. That means everything.
Yeah, they make you unreliable, not dependable.
Makes you look bad to the customers, employees.
At that point.
And then my power gets cut off because of all this, and because they send my wife and my kid up here to our mother's house, and they leave me down there, and I've just left. My power got cut off, so they show up with the police without my kid even there. They show up with the police and force me to leave my house with no shoes, no shirt, nothing but a pair of shorts on, because I didn't have power on. So they forced me to leave my house. They said they couldn't leave until they physically see me leave my house. What is that? Why is that that's not their fucking
They're acting right. Like it's the same thing as it's condemned. My house is not condemned. The damn power's not on.
Right. It's not on because y'all kept fucking with me and I couldn't pay my damn bill. Because you keep making me leave work. And that's what they want. They want that to happen so they can justify taking your kid. It's not like I wasn't going to get my power back on, but instead of just being normal, waking up and going to work, I woke up and had to leave my house with no shoes, no socks, no shirt on. I had to walk down the road with the Bristol Police Department and the social worker watching me do it. That's messed up. Where the hell you're going to throw me out on the street in the middle of a pandemic when not even my landlord can evict me, but yet you could tell me I can't be at my house.
The pandemic has really done a number on us all, and it definitely has impacted and impeded us from, kind of navigating what we've got to do in life in general. And it should matter to the court that we are in the middle of a worldwide problem.
Yeah. And, see, when your power gets cut off, social services, when your power gets cut off, social service, they're supposed to help you with that stuff, help you with programs to get it cut back on, instead of condemning you for not having the money to pay for your power bill.
I do want to share, because we're almost out of time, I do want to share this video. It's just kind of another support, avenue that we can look into. So let's see if we can pull this video up. I just want to introduce it.
There's one thing we can all agree on. When it comes to raising children, family is better than the government. Sadly, in 1927, the Supreme Court denied parental rights to parents with disabilities, a precedent continuing to this day. African American parents also see their parental rights taken away at an unequal rate compared to other parents. The U.S. Accountability Office has attributed this in part to racial bias. In 2000, the Supreme Court's decision in Troxel took away the protection parental rights used to have as a fundamental right. As a result, parents of all backgrounds are seeing their rights slowly slipping away. Imagine your child being taken away from you simply because you wanted a second opinion on a medical procedure, or being told you cannot view library information for your children, including the titles of books that are accumulating late fees, or being refused access to your 13-year-old's grades without your child's consent. These are real situations happening to real people. Whether Republican, Democrat, or Independent, it's time to unite and act to protect children by preserving parental rights. It's an issue that matters to us all. Sign up to learn more at parentalrights.org.
So, James, that's a website that I really, they kind of, document all over the United States. Like when a parent has a win in court, if it's about a medical procedure that they didn't want, whatever the case may be. It's a really good website that people can look up just to kind of navigate through this crazy time in our lives. So it's parentalrights.org. You guys
I've been on there.
And it's a really good site. It's just one of many that I would highly recommend just to kind of look into and make us feel like we're not alone in this, and it's everywhere. James, it was really good talking to you, and thank you for joining the show. Really appreciate it.
It was good talking to you.
Good luck to you and your wife and your family, and your son. I hope will come back soon.
I hope so too. Good luck to you too as well.
Thank you so much.
Bye, parents got to stick. All parents can't be wrong. We have to stand up for our rights.
That's right.
All right.
Have a good night. Good
All
luck.
right, you too.
Bye-bye.